Hello and welcome. Today has been a colossal day for Leeds United transfer news, and there is plenty to talk about in this video. So I'm going to start with the Daniel Farke presser stuff, and then we're going to go through all of the individual bits of news and updates in order. Please stick around because I think there's a huge one coming towards the end, and let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. It's always interesting reading points of view that aren't my own, because I know that I can get in this little bubble sometimes where I just sort of assume people agree because no one's disagreed. If you disagree, shout at me. Anyway, gonna dive in. We need to start with Daniel Farke's presser, and first up, Sam Byram is fit and healthy. This is very good because it means we actually have more than two fullbacks now. More than one fullback now, because I don't know if you count Archie Gray as a fullback. It's quite hard to decide. Yeah, Sam Byram can play on the right or the left. That means if the Firpo injury is worse than expected, because we do not have any news on Junior Firpo, he's likely still okay. It was only a dead leg, but we'll have to find out. Then we'll be okay. We'll be able to cover with Sam Byram. In addition to that, we have some more news around Sam Byram. He has apparently said that he would love to stay at the club next year and beyond. That would be fantastic because he's only got a contract here until June, I think. June, July, that sort of time, till the summer. If we're able to extend, that would be brilliant because when he's fit, he is one of our best players. He's absolutely key to Leeds United at the moment. And yeah, the ideal world is we keep Sam Byram for a long time. In addition to that, if we're talking about old heads in the dressing room, Liam Cooper has trained for the last 2 days. Whether or not he'll be available to do the full 90 this weekend, we do not know. There wasn't quite specifics on that. 2 days probably isn't enough to get into that condition, but we don't know. And in addition to that, we have more centre-back news. Pascal Stroke is set to be returning fairly soon, but he's not quite ready. He's been doing a little bit of training here and there, but not quite enough to make sure that he's ready for the first team. I feel like when everyone's fit again, we'll go back to that Stroke Rodon back two, but I guess we'll have to find out. Slightly bigger injury. Wilfried Gnonto is out with a hip flexor. He's definitely not going to be available at the weekend. It's apparently a major injury, so I'm not quite sure what that means going forwards, what it could mean for his potential transfer prospects. Not very good because no one wants to sign an unfit player. We'll find out. It could always be a cover for us selling him, but that's not really likely because Farke tends to be completely honest in his press conferences. Sorry, words not quite at it. I'm quite ill today. It's fun. Next up, we have the transfer news. And first up, we've got a Leeds midfield pairing to depart. Now, you might think we've not got that many midfielders in the first place. How can we lose Kamara and Gruev? It's not quite that. It's younger players. Darko JB is moving to Plymouth on loan. In my opinion, he's not quite been good enough at Leeds when he's got the minutes, but I feel like that's because he's not had the minutes to develop. There's a good player in there, in my opinion, and if he's able to get consistent games, then sure, maybe that player can come out. But at Leeds United, I feel like that isn't very likely. Him moving out somewhere on loan completely makes sense to me, especially if they've said he will play a set amount of minutes. The championship level is pretty good as well. Going to Plymouth isn't bad because he's still going to face good sides. He won't be available for any of the games against Leeds United, but they're both in the next couple of weeks, so that's not too much of an issue. And hopefully he can help to stop Leicester, Ipswich, Southampton from playing well. We'll find out. Not at the championship level is Lewis Bate, who is reportedly going to MK Dons. Definitely a lower level. And in my opinion, there's clearly a player in there. Every single time I've watched him play, whether it's for the senior side or the under-21s, you've seen he's quite smart at picking out clever little balls and creating opportunities for the players around him, but he's not quite had the chance to develop enough at Leeds United. We've always been in a position of we have to sign players. So the summer before last, we were in the Jesse Marsh era. He's buying Adams, he's buying Aronson, we're getting McKennie in later on, we're buying Mark Rocket, and there's not an opportunity for Lewis Bate to break through, even onto the bench in that situation. Then Weston McKennie came in over the December period. Then we lost all of those players, signed Gruev, Kamara, Ampadu. Gray came into the fold, and there's just not been room for Lewis Bate. This move, in my opinion, could be absolutely make or break for Lewis Bate. If he doesn't do well at MK Dons, I can see us basically letting him go because I don't think he's quite going to be good enough in that case. In addition to that, we are apparently in pole position for a centre-back. This is more of a cursory tale, more of a cautionary story about transfer stories, because I had a little bit of a deeper dive into this. Mark McKenzie is at Genk and is, in my opinion, a pretty good player. He's a strong enough centre-back, and we're in pole position for him, apparently, according to, I think, a Netherlands paper called Vertball, and it was sort of repeated by Court Offside. But this is where we need to take care because he's a USMNT international who is getting a lot of minutes, apparently. but we need to be very, very careful when we're watching what's happening here. He has played 11 matches in the Jupiler Pro League for Genk. That means that he's a fundamental part of their squad. He played in 2 Champions League qualifiers, 4 matches in the Conference League. He's definitely in and around their squad as a fundamental member of the way that they play. And the source is fairly unreliable, so this is very much in pinch of salt territory. Don't listen to it. We do have more news after this from actual sources. But in this case, you sort of need to pay attention to where the source is, who it's coming from, and who the player is, because we might be in pole position if they are to let him go. But the question is, are they going to bother letting him go? There's so many things in football journalism that are deliberately in place to trip you up right now and make sure they get your clicks. You need to be a little bit careful. Something you need to be a little bit less careful of, however, is talk of a Joe Rodon permanent move. Apparently, Daniel Farke had a little bit of a say on this, and it isn't likely in January. And that makes complete sense because he is, let's be honest, a very expensive player. Spurs are very good at negotiating for their players, and he's not necessarily going to want Championship football. So, according to a source that I know of and very much trust because he's gotten so much right in the past, the signing of Javi Gracia, getting rid of Jesse Marsh, he said before it happened that it would happen. It's looking likely if Leeds United get promoted, and that makes complete sense. It'll be a Ben White-style situation, but if we go up, we'll actually sign him, which I'm completely fine with. Joe Rodon is a significant part of this sort of back line that we've got at the moment, and I think he's the reason we have the best, in terms of XG at least, defence in the Championship. Lots of people disagree with that and say, well, you can't listen to XG for everything because sometimes a goal goes in. Doesn't matter really, does it? It's fine. If you let in less chances, you'll probably let in less goals. We're doing okay. In addition to that, we have a little bit of news about signing a left back. I know, it's so weird. Who would have thought that could have happened? Apparently, Leeds United have now reached out and contacted Luton around discussions to do with their left back, Ryan Giles. He's a fairly attacking left back who hasn't been breaking through at their side at the moment. He's been struggling for minutes. I've got up his transfer market page here. It's always weird trying to pronounce that. And he's played 11 times in the Premier League so far this season, and that on the face of it doesn't look too bad, but that adds up to 500 minutes. In addition to that, he's played a half of football in the FA Cup and a couple of games in the EFL Cup, and that tells me that if he is young and a decent enough player and wants to develop, he's going to want more minutes. He can also play on the wing, which is fascinating. He's basically a left wing-back, Firpo-esque, but with the legs to get back as well. To me, a loan move looks distinctly likely. I don't know whether he'll specifically come to us, but if he goes out on loan, we are in a good position for it. If he goes out at all, it will be on loan. I'm feeling sort of confident about this Ryan Giles situation. Anyway, that was a very big day for Leeds United-based transfer news, with stuff coming in, stuff going out, lots of updates in terms of injuries. There was also a story about Joe Gelhardt that I wasn't going to report because I've not quite got enough from any sources about it, because it's madness. Whether or not clubs are going after him is being disputed by lots of people. Anyway, hope you enjoyed the video. Comment down below what you think. As I mentioned, I always love seeing the various opinions flying about. Like the video if you enjoyed, and subscribe. I will see you later.